community meeting at Forge Valley School, and we're grateful that we can use Forge Valley School. It's a great venue for us. Today's meeting is open to the members of the public. My name is Councillor Alan Hooper, and I chair this meeting, local area meeting. Before I ask other councillors to introduce themselves, the councillors are sat up at the front here, I will hand over to Philippa from Democratic Services to read the housekeeping arrangements.
Thank you, Chair. Evening, everyone. Before we start, there's just a few housekeeping arrangements to mention. Please can I request that mobile telephones and other such equipment are switched to silent mode so as not to disturb the conduct of the meeting. There's no fire test planned for today. If there is an emergency evacuation, please take instruction from the council staff present. The assembly point is back through these doors, through the gated area and into the car park. The toilet facilities are situated through these doors. Turn right through the cafeteria, turn left and down a few steps. The meeting today is open to the public and will be streamed live and for subsequent broadcast via the council's website. You should be aware that the council is a data controller under the Data Protection Act. Data collected during this webcast will be retained in accordance with the council's published policy. By entering the meeting room, you are consenting to be filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippa. Can I ask the members now around the table to introduce themselves, starting at the far end?
Councillor Will Sapwell from lovely Stannington.
Councillor Rob Royce, Councillor for East Ecclesfield.
Councillor Mike Leavery, Councillor for West Ecclesfield.
Councillor Alan Woodcock, Councillor for East Ecclesfield.
Councillor Anne Whittaker, Councillor for West Ecclesfield and Deputy Chair of this committee.
I'm Andy Mail, I'm the Community Services Manager for the North Sheffield LAC.
Hello, I'm Janet Riddler and I'm Councillor for Stocksbridge and Upper Don.
Thank you, councillors. Before we proceed with the agenda, I'd just like to explain how the meeting will work, just a brief introduction so you'll know what's happening. First, we will deal with some formal business and apologies and declarations of interest and the minutes of the last meeting. Following on from that, the theme of the meeting is road safety in the north of Sheffield, and we will start with a presentation by students from Forge Valley School about the road safety survey that they've undertaken. And this then will be followed by a presentation on Loxley Valley Community Speed Watch. Following that, I will take public questions and petitions, and following that there will be an interactive breakout. We set the tables out so that people here can actually tell us what's about their thoughts about road safety. We've got various sheets on the table for you to proceed and help us with road safety. Next we will move on to the North Area Committee budget, and the Community Service Manager Andy will give a presentation, and then there will be a discussion and debate, and members of the committee will be asked to note the contents of the report. So that's what will happen. So first and foremost, we'll welcome the students of the school to come and give the presentation. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that we've got some young people here tonight. Thank you. So, we've got the mic? If you'd like to introduce yourself as you give the presentation. Thank you.
Hi everybody, so my name is Melissa Rana. I lead Sociology and Criminology at the sixth form here. Sorry, is it best we sit down?
If you just hold that there.
Okay. Is that better? Okay. I am Melissa Rana. I lead Criminology and Sociology here at Forge Valley Sixth Form, and this is a group that I have kind of put together. Even though it is all their own work, I just kind of guide them and lead them through the process. I'm going to hand over to Annie to start with, and she's going to tell you a bit about what we're trying to do as a group.
Hi, I'm Annie, and I'm a 16-year-old at Forge Valley School. I'm a year 12 like the rest of these, and I joined this group with the other year 12s because I wanted to create a positive change for our school and the wider community. we get together quite frequently and we discussed lots of different ideas. The one that came up the most and we thought would make the biggest change was road safety, because lots of us in the group have experienced maybe not the best things when walking to school or cycling to school. However, I'm going to pass over to Chuck now, who's going to give a more detailed experience. There you go.
Hi, my name is Chuck. I came to Forge Valley at year 10, so I'm pretty new to the school, but I've had experiences of bad road safety. We students who have come together to solve this problem, road safety and traffic control. Many of us have experienced dangerous experiences regarding walking or traveling to school in general, like walking to school, using bicycles, and using scooters sometimes. It could be hard because you have to go through hills, you have to walk, the cold weather, sometimes the cars, it's not even the fault of the driver sometimes, the fog, in the morning, and the cars are driving with speed, and the students have to be walking. I know that adrenaline rush of kids, they want to walk, they want to go to school early, so they're trying to make it to time. So, and the cars are so many, and the roads it's quite wide, so as they're crossing, the cars are moving with so much speed, so they're trying to understand how to cross the road, so that's dangerous, because I've experienced it sometimes when the car almost nearly hit me. Road safety is widely talked about, but it doesn't seem to have made an impact because students are still reckless when crossing the road, and parents or drivers are inconsiderate and endangering students by not allowing them to cross or driving too quickly around the school area. I've explained that, in the morning, which is very worse, everyone is rushing to make the time because our administrator is quite strict, so he doesn't like coming late. So we all want to go there early, but yeah, crossing the road can be a problem. Sometimes walking through the hills, your legs are knackered, tired, and there's nothing like to press. And you're like, these cars are moving. It's just that kind of thing. It could be very annoying. Plus, sometimes even the bus makes you late. Sometimes even the bus apps. And when I try to use the bus app, it's just the bus is in 20 minutes. It wastes time. So road safety is quite a big problem to me because I faced it, and I still face it now. But at least it's getting better. But that's a very, very big problem when I came to Forge Valley, and I'm passing it on to Alfie.
Hi, I'm Alfie. I've been at the school since year 7. I'm also year 12 and 16. And I cycle to school every day. So in November of last year, 2024, we conducted a form around school, and we asked every student in the school, which was about 890, what they thought their biggest concern was out of several options, including road safety, buses, everything to do with transport. And the results we got from that is that almost 86% of people at our school thought that having no safe crossing outside of school was their biggest concern out of all of these options. And as well as that, we conducted another form to see what the transport uses, how people get to school. And we found that 68% of people that attend the school walk. That's 7 in every 10 people. And it's over, not only is it over half, but it's over, if you add up everything, you've got walking to school is bigger than everything added up. So we found that it's clear that's the biggest problem. It's clear that that's something that everyone else at the school feels like we're facing. I'm going to pass on to Hannah to talk about a study that we did to see on how many cars we've got outside of school at different times of the day.
Hello all, I'm Hannah. I am currently in year 12, 17. Been here since year 7, so gotten to know the school quite well. Earlier this month we conducted a traffic count, and I talked to my dad about this, wonderful man. He said a traffic count is a good way it's a good indication of how severe a problem may be. So you can't really present a problem if you've got no evidence to back it up, and here is a form of evidence. So there were 2 time periods during the day that we assessed. One was midday, midday, and end of school, so approximately 3 p.m. And midday, about 20 cars passed through the school area, and end of school, you can see that's quite a lot more cars. So I'm not really sure what else to say about that, because I think it's just visual. So yeah, I'm going to pass on to Grace now. Thank you, Hannah. Good afternoon. I'm Grace. I'm also 16 and I'm a year 12. Just like everyone else, we were the year that were impacted by COVID, so we're aware of all the efforts that the school have put into combating all these challenges. Firstly, we would like to consider having a zebra crossing, as this is one of the safest options and will have the strongest impact, as the cars will have to stop for us rather than us for them. Like Alfie already explained, we sent out a Microsoft Google form for the students to complete in order to get a wider range of opinions. 86 of them decided that their most important concern was that there is no safe crossing outside of school. This shows that it's a very vital change that needs to happen. We also thought that we could add some barriers along the pavement in order to minimise the number of students crossing out at dangerous points in the road, so they don't get hit by cars. We also thought that we could add a low pop lady, as this will be a respected and reliable adult that we can trust to not let us get hit by cars. And this will also allow the traffic to keep moving and avoid a build-up of any cars. We've got many ideas because we care really deeply about the safety of our students and ourselves. We hope you take in what we said and act upon them and create a safe environment around Forge, because we just believe that students should be able to walk home from school and not be scared of getting hit by any cars or being put in danger. So I'm going to hand you back to Annie, who's going to conclude everything that we've already said.
Hi, I'm still Annie, and I just have a few questions that I'd like to ask you all, because it's just important that we understand each other, I think. Obviously, we understand that we've given a lot of suggestions of what we can do, and not all are possible, but I want to ask you some very persuasive questions. Why would you guys hesitate to make young people in Sheffield safer on the way to school? Why would you hesitate to make the roads safer for drivers and to make them feel more confident when driving, because they don't have to worry about a screaming Year 7 running across the road? When the roads are safer and children don't really have to worry about much, I found, to be fair, with my little brother, he had a bad interaction a couple of years ago where a car sped round the corner and sweared at him because he was trying to cross on a zebra crossing. So he was not very pleased with that. And since he's found it a bit difficult to walk to school sometimes because he gets a bit like, he doesn't want to be sworn at again, so, you know, I think that's a normal thing. So we just need to make sure that the roads are safer and people are more understanding, I think, because we are just trying to get to school at the end of the day, even though sometimes you just want to stay in bed. But we understand that these things will cost a lot of money, but I think we're so determined that on some days we want to just go out and paint zebra crossings ourselves, even though I would probably not be trusted to do this because I did not do art at all, because I can barely draw stickmen. But yeah, us students will keep campaigning and fighting, but it's you guys that can make the change. Thank you for listening.
I'd like to say thank you to the team for the presentation. Well done. I'd like to thank you for the survey and the work that you've undertaken. Very, very good stuff and easily understandable. Before I ask councillors to comment, is anyone out in the audience that may wish to ask a question or may wish to comment? Yeah. Can you take a mic?
Well, it's a question out of pure ignorance. I don't know the answer, so it's not a pointed question. I thought it was a great presentation, guys. It was fantastic. And actually, it really surprised me that it's not even a legal requirement that there needs to be, you know, a safe place to cross outside the schools. Is that something that is in law, or is that something which maybe you ought to consider? That was my question.
I'm not sure whether it's law, but we do, as a council as well, look to try and make around schools a school safety zone. So it's something that we really need to consider. I'll pass over to councillor. Do you want to start, Will, as your local councillor?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, guys. Very keen to keep working with you, so I'm going to have to take your teacher's email at the end of all of this. My question to you is, with the chair's permission, because I don't want to hijack the LAC meeting, as it were, but would you guys be interested in taking this further with the council and maybe doing a petition later on in the year to the full Sheffield Council? I hope I'm not undermining you, Councillor Hooper.
Carry on.
Excellent. Well, we'll link up later. My second point is I'm very impressed that you're cycling to school in Stannington. Your thighs must be very, very, very strong. Wonderful. What are the barriers to more people cycling, do you think? And what does it make you feel like when you see in the press the kind of anti-cyclist sentiment that there is out there?
I think that the cycling infrastructure around Sheffield has really improved. Recently I cycled to work, to school, I cycle everywhere. Coming up to school, what was your question again? Sorry.
So what's the barriers to more people not cycling to school?
Okay.
And what does it feel like when you kind of read in the newspapers and websites the kind of anti-cyclist sentiment out there?
For me at this school, the biggest barrier is the fact that there is no safe place to put your bike. At Forge, there is no cycling infrastructure whatsoever. There's no shelter, no bike locks. Actually, there's 4 bike locks that aren't covered that are outside the school grounds in the car park, which means anyone can get to them. So I don't really feel comfortable putting my bike there, nor does Hannah. So I think that's one of the main barriers for me. But from what I've heard, there's supposed to be a bike lock coming soon. Anti-cyclist kind of propaganda doesn't bother me too much. I think most of what I see is from people that are more uneducated about the matter of cycling. I think it's really efficient, and it's good. It's good for you. It's good for the planet. It's just good all round. And I think that the people that can make these comments don't really understand that. And I don't think. I mean, no one's going to understand everything. So there's nothing much you can do about that. But
hello, I'm still Hannah.
that one.
Yeah, obviously. So, as Alfie's just mentioned, I also cycle to school, and I think a physical barrier is obviously the hill. There's not a lot you can do about that landform. But in terms of more confidence and how sort of safe you feel on the roads, I've had quite a few negative experiences cycling to school. I do it because of efficiency, not because I enjoy it. It's physically exhilarating. But I think what put me off at first was the fact that I had no experience on the roads whatsoever, because my dad doesn't drive. As I've started driving lessons, I now have experiences of both worlds, and I do understand why people feel frustration towards cyclists because, well, you're small and insignificant and you're in a lot larger vehicle. But, oh, yeah, that too. But I just feel if there was some sort of way of gaining your confidence on the road, like maybe a course that you could do, I'm not too sure how sort of doable this is or if it's too much of an ask, but the way I learnt my confidence on the roads was just by doing it. And obviously I made quite a few mistakes and I learnt everything through experience, and that was quite daunting at the time, but I've sort of grown to accept it.
Yeah, thank you. We are running a long time with this, if you can. Robin, is it a mic? Yeah, please, thank you.
I'll try and keep it brief. Brilliant presentation, and well done for collecting data and kind of putting it together in such an understandable way. As someone who's got a bike hanging up on my wall at home, I completely understand the issues that you guys have around cycle safety in Sheffield. Mine collects dust most of the time because, well, sometimes I just don't feel safe. My kind of question to you guys is, I came today from a launch event of a engineering outreach program that I do with a whole bunch of kids, 13, 14, and very well attended. But I think since, and I might be wrong, and Alan can correct me on this, that this might be the first school presentation that we've had to the LAC since I became a councillor. I'm on the younger end of the councillor spectrum, and I want to hear more, and I think the council needs to hear more from younger people. So how would you want us to engage with you as young people more? Obviously this is about road safety, but how would you want to see us kind of listen to younger people's voices?
Thanks, Chair. My message to you is don't give up. Follow up with Will and make sure you do get your petition there, but that's not the end of the story. It will take time. I speak with experience as a former chair of Ecclesfield School. and we had to change the 40-mile-an-hour zone to the other side of the school just to get a crossing in, and it took a long time. So keep at it, don't give up. You've got a great idea here, and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I always think it's really powerful when we've got young people wanting to engage with councillors and ultimately the council, and it's really important that we listen to your issues and respond to them where we can. I was going to also ask Will's question about what's stopping other people to cycle, but obviously you've answered that really well. So thank you very much for this evening.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the presentation. It was absolutely great and really good to see so many people having engaged with this this subject. One of the things that I was wondering is that you might be aware, I know you're obviously a secondary school, but with primary schools, what the council's been doing over the last few years is introducing the School Streets scheme, which it's been funded through the money that's been raised through the clean air zone in the city centre, which is to exclude traffic from primary schools for an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. And this has now been extended. The first secondary school to take part in this has now come on board, Australia. So I just wondered if you thought about that, whether you think that a similar scheme would be as effective with secondary schools for road safety in the immediate vicinity of schools at the very, very busy times, and whether that's something you think would transfer over from primary to secondary in the same sort of way. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. I was around on the council when this school was built and they closed Wildwood School and merged the two schools, and some of the issues were getting the pupils from the other side of the valley over here. The crossing on Riverlyn Valley Road was put in, I think, as part of this scheme. But as you say, outside this school, there's nothing. I have been around in the morning, and I was walking down Myers Grove Lane, and it's a constant stream of pupils coming up on both sides, yeah. And I think there's that many coming up from the bottom that you have to use both sides of the road. So some stage you have to cross the road, yeah. So I think we need to look at how we can make outside your school, if it not be a crossing, how we can make it safer. The other thing which I was pleased that was brought up was the cycling. Primary school get the cycling from the council, they get taken out by a qualified person, and they're at Greenside School this week actually doing it, and they take them first on a side road and then go onto the main roads. And I think it would be something very useful perhaps throughout the city for secondary pupils to have some sort of guidance and instruction. So I think it's something we can take away.
Chair, could we just bring in the students for right of reply to the last question?
Sorry.
Could we just bring in the students again? I think they've got some points to make.
Hiya. So I have, in my push to get a bike shelter installed at the school, I have spoken about safer streets because Mum's a primary school teacher, assistant head teacher, so I know quite a bit about it already. And I've found that it's actually very hard to get through to the senior leadership team at the school about anything. And I think that's a problem that stems partly from the fact that we're an academy, so the senior leadership team at this school aren't actually in charge overall in terms of this. They have face problems with budget and things. And the Safer Streets thing kind of got overshadowed by the fact that I was trying to push for this bike rack to be installed early on this year. But it would be something that I would be interested in looking into again.
Alfie, keep pushing at the door, it will open.
I just wanted to reply to the gentleman's question as well before, just to kind of maybe wrap this up for us all. As a teacher, I think I kind of stumbled upon this opportunity purely by coincidence with Andy emailing someone else in the school and then it being passed on to me, and then it was like, wow, what amazing timing for what we're trying to do. And I think if Andy had never reached out in the first place, I would never have known that this meeting was even happening, and I'm sure a lot of other young people and even members of staff at the school
aren't aware that these kind of things happen because it's not something that is kind of widely publicised to us. So I think that kind of reaching out towards us first has really helped us meet you halfway, and hopefully then we can keep progressing forward with it. So yeah, I think that the reaching out is what has made the difference.
Thank you very much. Thank you anyway. You're quite welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or go if you've got other things to do. I've been at school all day. Before I actually close this item out, I've got a leaflet here in front of me, and it's for a school crossing person at Shooters Grove, just up the road. They would like, and they're concerned about their young children going to school. Mark, sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying earlier in relation to I think the young lady over there said about the cycle training. I used to work for an organisation who did that across Sheffield, Pedal Ready. I don't know if they still got the contract, but it's certainly offered to all junior schools, and they also do it in secondary schools at a more advanced level, like a level 2, level 3. So it teaches you how to cycle confidently, and basically it's teaching you how to control drivers. So if you're confident where to place your bike, it gives you more confidence on road cycling. So in relation to cycle storage, again, I don't know if they still do it, but you used to get free cycles hangers from like Sustrans, and there's several £1 million just come from government into active travel as well, so that should be being devolved to local councils, and that should also help fund cycle storage and stuff like that. So I'll see you later on and give you some contacts on that one if you want.
Thanks, Mark, yeah. So thank you very much. I think we have lots of things to consider and work on, but thank you very much.
I want to speak for all of the Forge Forward team when I say thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak out, because I don't think it's very often you hear young children be able to express their opinions, because this is a really important issue for us. We are very expressive about this and think it's something that needs to change definitely sooner rather than later. So I just wanted to say thank you from all of us.
And it's very important to us as well. Thank you. But quickly move on to the next presentation or information. It's the Loxley Valley Community Speed Watch, and it's Richard. Would you like to say a few words? You going to come to the front, or are you okay there? Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. I'm Richard. Sorry. Richard. I'm representing the Loxley Valley on Hillsborough Speed Watch. We've only been going for a couple of weeks, really, a couple of months, and we kind of inherited everything from another group who sort of stopped operating. So we didn't have any issue setting up the equipment or anything because we all got that given. 5 or 6 of us who are in the group, and we need about 3 or 4 of us at any incident, any events that we take place. We've decided not to sort of go at it hammer and tongs because we can't sustain that. So we only actually have a session about once every fortnight, but there's no sort of pattern to it. And we want to make sure we don't fall into a trap of just doing it on a Monday morning or anything. So we randomly pick the days and the time.
I really want to make the one point that we enjoy doing what we're doing, but for us to continue, we get great support from people saying you're doing a great job, but we need more volunteers. And I think that's the issue we want to put across. The awareness is there for motorists to apply the right speed and so forth. And we don't want to prosecute them. You know, we don't want to get people into trouble. Because most people don't want to speed, they're just not really looking at the speedometer. What we want to do is make them aware of the speed and the problem, and to do that we need more and more volunteers. Loads of people say you're doing a great job, but I'll say very few people come forward and want to actually do it because, well, we're retired, so perhaps we're a bit more fortunate. It's a bit like Dad's Army sometimes, but we do have some fun, and I would welcome some input from all of you to ask us more about it, because Yeah, we're cyclists as well, Richard, and I've cycled all over France and goodness knows what. We've done plenty of things, and I've been a driving instructor, and, I've got plenty of history, and I've lived around here for 75 years. And now I think in the last couple of years, on Loxley Road, it's worse than ever. And I really think we need to raise the awareness. And I'll just flip back to the kids that have been on here. My kids went to Myersgrove School, as it was, and I'm really impressed, and I wasn't really aware how horrific it is to get to school. And now I think about it, it is. And so that's been a good input for me to see you guys here today. So, yeah, if we sign off and we'll take questions, please. Yep.
Hello, I'm Jenny from Action for Stannington. As a result of the reports that you make, do just letters get sent, or are the police taking note of cars that get reported frequently? Because we think that there are quite possibly some frequent offenders who are doing it over and over again, and we'd love to know if anything is going to happen to them that's a bit more than just a nice letter.
I think the obvious answer to that one is we'd like to know as well, because we put the reports in, and I'm afraid this is one of the failings, I think, of the system. We don't get any feedback back from the police. We send them in good faith, and we've no idea what happens after that. We've been told that they get letters, but with no proof or evidence or feedback on that. Maybe that's something we can sort of progress on.
It's one here, Richard, is it? Okay, that's working there. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Nick Dodsworth. I'm the inspector from the North West Neighbourhoods team, which is responsible for, if you imagine Sheffield like a cake, the top side of Ecclesall Road, sweeping all the way through to Langsett and everywhere in between, so obviously including Stannington as well. It's not my area of expertise, because Noah from the Safety Camera Partnership runs the scheme. My understanding is that anybody that's reported does get a letter through in the post. Do we pay them a visit? I couldn't answer that for sure, Richard. What I would say is that if you've got frequent people that you feel are speeding all the time, then please report it to myself or my team at Deep Car covers Stannington, to the Deep Car team, come to me, and we will pay them a visit and give them, that sounds quite sinister actually, doesn't it? We will pay them a visit and give words of advice and hopefully educate things, and if necessary we will then move on to an enforcement phase of things, but please do report them if you need to.
Some feedback to us about what's happening would be good, though. That there is something happening.
We need a mic. Just let you speak and I'll come to you. You've got the mic.
No, sorry. The gentleman said you don't wish to prosecute. I would think that a fixed penalty, 3 points on the licence, will be much more of a deterrent than a sequence of letters. Another point, sorry, just a quick question. Why is the Star newspaper allowed to publish the locations of speed cameras, the locations and dates when they're going to be present?
So I think the idea is that the Star publishes locations where they're going to operate, because the primary aim is prevention of speeding in the first place. Its enforcement comes at a later date if it's appropriate, but what we ultimately want to achieve first and foremost is the safety of people by preventing that speeding. So the idea is that the motorist knows where the speed cameras are going to be so that they can drive appropriately.
Yeah, thanks. I just take that point that I don't really think prosecution is the answer at our level where we are, where we're making ourselves aware of the speed that people are doing. And I don't think technically the police would really like us to be offering that side of the law. I think we just pass the information to them and they deal with it. I think that's probably what would be the right way of doing it. You're going to say something else?
I think the part of the problem is the police don't have the resources.
Well, that's why we're there, yeah. That's why we're there.
That's one of the issues.
And they yeah, we're there, and then they take it up to the next level. That's how I see it. Anything else, sir? A few of these.
Can I just quickly ask, how do you get those smiley face things that cause people to slow down? Because I see them dotted about, but I don't know how you can get one for your immediate location. Are there not enough to go round? Because they're preventative.
I'll take that one. Yeah, it's supplied by the council, the smiley faces, and we call them VAS signs, and we have them and we circulate them through each ward. So it's the council that provide them. Yeah. If you've got a specific location which you'd like one, just let us know. Thank you.
Oh. Hi everyone, I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Katie Daly. I'm the Engagement and Consultation Officer on Policing and Crime, but I work for the South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority, so I work in Oliver Coppard's office. Our office has recently taken on the responsibilities for the Safer Roads Partnership, so there's a lot of work going on at the moment in terms of staffing that up to where it needs to be, but also setting the strategic direction for what we want to do about road safety in South Yorkshire, so I'll probably get to speak to some of you later. I know you've put that up on the screen, and I know there's some paper copies on the tables, but I have got some leaflets. That doesn't show the other side of the leaflet, which tells you a little bit more about equipment requirements and things like that. So if anyone would like one, I have got some, and I can give you guys some as well if you'd like, if that would be helpful. Just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Any councillors wish to come in?
Can we meet up? Can we meet up? Because Loxley is in my patch and I'm very keen to help you guys out, especially with recruiting volunteers.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and I think it's raised some issues and concerns. I think it's fed some information back to us all. So moving quickly on, when I started I missed out, apologies for absence.
Thank you. I've got apologies for absence from Councillor Penny Baker, Julie Grocott, Mark Whittaker and Richard Williams.
And the other one was exclusion of press and public when we come to the business part. There's no items. And then the declarations of interest. Members, have you any declarations of interest to disclose? That's nil. Yeah. So now move on to public questions. We've got a number of questions. I've got two written questions that was sent in earlier. One is from Mr. Crowley, and he's raised questions about the Station Lane and Outerbridge Lane as the road crosses the railway bridge at Outerbridge. And he's asked, has there been any progress on these issues? He's raised them before. It's good that media is involved. And he would like to ask the following simple question to someone in authority at the council or the highways department. Do you think the current road signs and road markings at that section of road are fit for purpose? Just over a fortnight ago, we had a reply regarding the issues which he raises about. It's about signage. I'm only talking about signage by Councillor Ben Miskell, who's chair of the Transport, Regeneration and Climate Policy Committee. And he's written about signage again, please. Council officers met with residents at Outerbridge last week to discuss their concerns regarding this location, and further conversations have been taking place with local councillors and MP as well. Over the past 5 years, there have been 4 accidents in that area, but none in the vicinity of the bridge. While that is 4 more than we would like, we must prioritise roads with the highest number of collisions. Pedestrian bend warning signs on yellow backing boards and slow road markings have recently been installed on that route. He goes on to say that we have no plans to introduce any further measures at this location, and that's relating to the signs and the lines that are in accordance with the traffic signs, regulations and general directions. As I say, that will be our answer to him, but that is just relating to the road signs. There are other issues and other perhaps opportunities that we can take at that location, and I hope that when we go to the breakouts that some of those issues will come out and be fed back to us. We as councillors, certainly in the Stocksbridge and Upper Don and the West Ecclesfield at Grenoside, etc., have got thoughts on this. So it would be really useful if members of the public, and I know there are some people from Uxbridge and that location, provide us with their thoughts of what would help with the road safety at that area. That was the first question. Yeah. Sorry?
What am I pressing it? The guy who's answered my question, I'm the one who put that question in. He says that it's safe. It's fit for purpose.
Sorry?
The guy who's answered my question, you read his name out. Councillor.
Yeah, Councillor Ben Miskey.
So he thinks that signage and markings is fit for purpose now.
He does, and the highways officers do according to the regulations, yes.
Right. So I'd like his name kept in the minutes, because when an accident does happen there, which it will, and then retrospectively, if there are improvements done, then that person is negligent.
This statement, which I've read out, will be included in the minutes.
Right. So that person's name needs to be held on account. Because something will happen there, definitely.
Yeah, we don't know that, but possibly the other accidents. Anyway.
Janet was out there last week, and she was shocked at how dangerous and chaotic it is. There's now 300 houses being built in the valley, so that's 500 cars, 2 cars per house, going up and down that hill, or in the area. It's like having an engineering workshop with a dangerous machine and saying, oh yeah, it's dangerous, but until somebody loses the hand, we're not going to put a guard around it.
I take on board what you're saying, and so do the councillors at Stocksbridge and Upper Don and the West Ecclesfield who look after Grenoside and beyond. Yeah. The next question relates to virtually the same issue of traffic.
Right.
Thank you.
So I was just going to add to that I think, although the response from Councillor Miskell says that a bigger issue there, because compliant or not, it's not working and the problem is still there. So I think that the question about the sign is one thing, and it may well be legally compliant, you know, with what the size and shape or whatever it is that they're supposed to be, but it obviously needs more to that, and that's what we've been talking about, and that's what I'll come over and talk to you again about this evening, because it's a bigger issue than just about the signs that are there. They're not working.
Agreed, thank you, Janet. So the next question is from Ms Wilson of Grenoside, and she starts off, I'm writing to raise urgent concerns regarding the significant traffic-related issues in our area, particularly in the vicinity of Uxbridge Lane, Lanehead and Skew Hill. Over the recent years, the volume of traffic has increased dramatically, and several key factors are contributing to the growing risks for drivers, pedestrians and cyclists. Firstly, the substantial residential developments in Uxbridge and Stocksbridge have led to an influx of traffic. The roads now act as a conduit for these areas and also the Lower Don Valley. This increase has been exacerbated by navigation apps such as Google Maps and Apple Maps, which direct traffic through our area as the fastest route due to the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's quite a long question, so I'll move on to various things. Additionally, there have been multiple accidents, many go unreported, particularly at the junction of Skew Hill and Lanehead, and the corner of Uxbridge Lane, Jawbone Hill. Drivers also cut to cross the junction of Lanehead, Skew Hill, which lead to frequent collisions. The layout combined with the speed of traffic makes it increasingly hazardous. The route is frequented by many cyclists following the Tour of France and cycling race of Great Britain. Over the years, the traffic series has further deteriorated due to increased traffic related to the crematorium, with more visitors coming and attending, and there's no footpath. As a result, the pedestrians are at greater risk. Drivers are not paying attention to the pedestrian signage that was installed. She says, I respectfully request that the Council considers measures to address these issues. Possible solutions may include traffic calming measures, improve road signage to caution drivers about the dangers ahead, and reconsidering the speed limits in these areas. We may also benefit from further pedestrian safety initiative. So we're looking at the bridge at Outerbridge, the Outerbridge Lane, and then up to Jawbone, past Jawbone to Lanehead and down Skew Hill. So we'll take that. We've got Mike and then Will. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I've been dealing with Miss Wilson and the residents of Lanehead. The volume of traffic now coming up Outerbridge Lane is phenomenal, mainly due to the developments that have taken place, and this is the direct route to the M1 that's been taken. In the morning, traffic is huge, and similarly in the evening when it's returning, and speeding as well. So we've got Wheel Lane, where we've had, Alan talked about the VAS signs, vehicle activated signs. We've had over 50% of cars on Wheel Lane speed, both ways, and it's the worst road in the north of the city. And this is purely because of the volume of traffic driving at speed and then coming down through narrow roads like Ecclesfield and through to the M1 on Nether Lane. The issues at Lanehead, which really raised the problem a lot, was we had 5 accidents in 6 weeks in October and November, where cars left the road at Jawbone going uphill and through the wall on the other side of the road. We really need to get a grip of this because the traffic volumes aren't going to go down, and our roads are just not fit to take this volume of traffic. And I would like our highways officers to look carefully at what the options might be, including signage, or, in my view, all traffic heading to the M1 should be routed to Deepcart and onto the Stockbridge bypass, because that road is fit and good enough to take cars that are going that way. And it's time we really had a look at this and got it sorted out. Thank you, Chair.
Will?
I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that this Skew Hill, Lanehead, Outerbridge Lane junction is quite a key part of several testing routes for driving tests taking place at Middlewood. So that is something else that probably needs to be included in this, because obviously that's an added risk.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what's just been said, and I think it's one of those frustratingly paradoxical cases where if you haven't had an accident, then you are not a priority, and this is the argument that is being put back to us when we raise this issue, that the fact that they aren't the recorded accidents, and yet that must only be due to Providence, good luck, or, you know, whatever deity you may pray to, because I think that you know, that the whole network of roads that we've just been talking about, you only have to stand there and look to see, you know, what they're in. So I think that we do need to be looking for urgent action here. We are, you know, working hard to press for this, given obviously the constraints, and it does always, as most things do, come down to finances again. But I think where lives are involved, then we need to take action, and we need to take action quickly. So we do need to continue. We're working with the MP, we're working with the council and the Highways Department. We need to look at other solutions, including alternative pedestrian routes. We need to look at measures. I mean, ultimately, it needs, you know, I mean, talking now about Outerbridge, the railway bridge, we need a new bridge. But in the meantime, what we do need is to look at putting in urgently either, you know, traffic lights or speed restrictions, or, you know, anything really that will temper the situation and make improvements at the moment. And we are working very hard on that for you. Thank you.
Rob, if you can make it as quickly as possible, we're running.
Yeah, I'll try and make it quick, and I think I'd like to first point back to the presentation we had at the beginning of wonderful young people, and the idea that we should be waiting for an actual incident to happen and potentially a young person to lose their life before we do anything. I know of a campaign, a road safety campaign in East Ecclesfield in my ward, and the answer from the City Council came back of, well, we generally just wait until something happens. I work in engineering, and the approach to health and safety in engineering work is on the risk of harm, not on the harm itself. So I have raised the question with the Highways Department as to whether or not it is sensible and ethical to be waiting for an incident to happen before something is done about it.
Alfie?
I'd just like to add that bridge on the bottom of Bridge Lane is really busy with mountain bike riders as well, as Warncliffe Woods is now the most popular mountain biking destination in Sheffield. It's overtaken Grenoside, which is purpose-built, and Warncliffe is now on top. So that's one of the main entrances to the woods for mountain bike riders. So it's not just that, and then it's on the Total Yorkshire route as well. So it's like 2 times worse, pretty much. And as someone who cycles everywhere, that is probably the place that I feel the most unsafe cycling anywhere in Sheffield. Thank you.
Well, then we'll move on. Thank you.
Sorry. Hello. It might not be appropriate, but my name's Sue Morton. And sitting here tonight listening to all these the contributions and what you have just been talking about, it appears to me that what we're talking about is safe driving. Everything you talked about is a result of bad driving. If people were sensible and were aware that what they're sitting in is a dangerous weapon, then life would be wonderful. And while I've got the opportunity of a police inspector sat next to me, I would make a plea that the police start to take traffic, speeding, and the safety and the crazy things that are happening with cars, like headlights that blind you. I think unless we can have a police force that starts to take road safety seriously, I know they're pressed, I know I don't underestimate what they do, but they need to know that they can spend men and women and time and money on making our streets safer. And then a lot of these problems tonight would just disappear. I live on Oldfield Road at the top of Stabbington. It's like a racetrack. And, you know, if the people know where the speed limit is, where the cameras are, they'll slow down and then they speed up again. So I would make a plea to the police. Please start to take traffic and dangerous driving seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another question. I don't know who's putting problems at Upper Stannington. Have you got a copy of the? If you could sort of briefly read the question out. It's quite a long question. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sarah Zadig. Problems in Upper Stannington, I think it's starting to be used as a through route for people from Ecclesfield, Stocksbridge to go to southwest Sheffield. Also, as in other areas, as been mentioned earlier, there are a lot of new houses in Stannington. And I'm concerned particularly about the route going up Spout Lane and then Rails Road. The dangerous bends on the road. I think the signage could be better. I think because people are using it as a through route with sat-nav, there are people who are maybe not local, not familiar with the road. And I live near the top bend on Spout Lane, and I can hear the brakes screeching really regularly. I'm concerned about Church Street, School Lane, where there's both the elderly, the sheltered housing at Flora Grange, where it's difficult for them to cross the road, and also the before and after school club using the church hall. I don't know if anyone is from the club has come this evening. It's because of the bends in the road and because, as has been mentioned, Oldfield Road is used as a racetrack. people tend not to slow down going round those two bends, which is where the children are being taken across the road and the elderly folk. So I'm asking for better signage, maybe some traffic calming.
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. Yeah. Will, do you want to respond?
You're certainly not the first person to point this out to me, especially regarding Flora Grange. Let's have a chat about some pedestrian crossings and some traffic calming, absolutely.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we will record this. It'll go in a minute. I think first and foremost, I think if your local councillors speak with you, and a group, if you've got a group up there, and then we can see what actions can be taken. There's a number of issues, and there's not a single problem. So I think if we can flush the issues out, and then we can try and move on. We'll give you a response for your questions as well. Thank you.
Widen the approach. Yeah, Graham White, you've got it down there about a farmer who was given land to widen the approach on Outerbridge Lane, and you refused it. Well, you were the leader, you were the guy, the main man. Why did you refuse it when it would make it safer?
I'm chair of this committee.
And the farmer would pay for it.
Yeah, it was the planning committee.
The planning?
The planning committee.
What's wrong with the planning of that?
So,
it's going to make the place safer. There's children,
it was refused
bicycles,
on highways issues.
Pedestrians, animals, and they've got to go over that bridge and beyond it, and it's not safe. And you've refused. Your team have refused to do it.
The council refused, yes, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, the council have refused. Why have they refused it when the farmers offered it for free?
I need to, or you need to have a look at the planning application and the reasons why it was refused. And it was due to highways issues.
Yeah, you do need to look at it.
Thank you. Okay.
And we need an answer to it. So can you provide an answer at some point? Why it was refused?
I will provide you with the...
Oh, right. I'd like to hear from it shortly.
Yeah,
because it's unsafe.
It will be the planning decision that
and it
I
would
will
be safer with that done.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Yeah. There are two questions very similar to this issue. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me okay? My name's Susan Davidson. I'm a resident of Butterthwaite, which is a small hamlet on the outside of Ecclesfield. I've got a written question which I will submit, but I'm going to summarise it. So we have become aware that Roots Allotments, which is a trade name of the Allotter Futureland Limited company, who have got links to Q Homes, and they are now looking at acquiring 12 acres of land near our small community. They've got a history of, across their 9 sites across the country, of exceeding permitted development to build allotments by erecting permanent storage and matted road networks. They then submit retrospective planning permission only after planning enforcement get involved. They have a model of overpriced allotments, no-dig vegetable plots that they charge 10 times more than traditional allotments for. They cram on average 27 plots per acre, which would mean that Butterthwaite could very soon be having 330 allotments neighbouring our houses. We would have a complete loss of privacy within the hamlet. Access to the field is either on a blind bend off Locher Lane, where it's 60 miles an hour, or down Butterthwaite Lane, which is an unadopted single-lane dead end and a private road. Both are totally unsuitable for the traffic that this would bring. We would like you to consider the parking issues, the hundreds of visitors that it would bring with it, the noise, the littering, and the complete loss of privacy. Every resident in the areas where they are currently have sites are worried that this is just a business model and a stepping stone to a back door or a back door to obtain a change of use to allow development. Thank you.
Would you like to read your similar question out, please? Thank you. Same issue, but a different location.
Scheme has been allowed for parking, and users would have to park on and around the junction of Whitley and Elliott Lane, which is effectively a single-lane carriageway and really a notorious black spot for accidents. The current owners of the field, Whitley One Limited, are registered as a site preparation company, effectively a development company, and they have informed us as architects that all planning law will be adhered to. But we'd actually prefer not to have our objections heard after the development is in place because of the irreparable damage which had already been taken place by that time to the landscape and the environment. So Whitley is actually an area of outstanding beauty and actually really borders up, but straight up into a conservation area. And the surrounding fields have been pastoral grazing land for hundreds of years. And really now, just because a company has a view to developing them as something else, really should that be allowed to happen? This development would change the landscape forever, and I think that we've all got a responsibility to protect our heritage as a legacy for future generations. We have actually registered this issue with the local planning authority, and we have a named person they're dealing with it. We haven't yet had a response back from them. So really what we're really looking for the committee is for your support, is to request your support in making sure that this development is closed down before it goes ahead so that the irreparable damage isn't done, and then we're dealing with the consequences afterwards.
Thank you both, yeah. Rob and then Mike, yeah.
I'd like to thank both of you for bringing the questions about a remarkably, almost coincidentally similar issue that has popped up. I, as does Councillor Hooper, both sit on the Communities, Parks and Leisure Committee in the Council, and we are, as the committee in charge of allotment services, we are aware of the pressures that, the number of allotments we have and the number of people that want it. So we do, and I can see that there might be a commercial driver there. The issue that we need to be raising, and I think both of you have stated quite well, is are we going to allow a commercial business, and having seen the prices for the routes allotments, they are extortionate compared to what the City Council offers. Are we going to be allowing them to come in and kind of develop land and then only have to ask permission to do so once the damage has been done? So I will work with both of you, in particular Susan and the guys at Butterthwaite, and I'm sure the West End councillors will work with those at the Elliott Lane and Whitley Lane site to make sure that any development that does happen, whether or not it should is a different decision, but that every single planning process and bit of scrutiny that needs to go into it is gone into it to make sure that we're not negligent in our responsibilities to local residents, and as Susan made a point of, potentially using this as a way of getting development of more kind of substantive levels through the back door.
Thank you. Mike?
Thanks, Chair. Yes, this is an issue of great concern which we actually want to raise to all residents in the north of the city, that companies like Roots Allotments are looking for land, and with the intention of doing exactly this. They have a Facebook page which says they're going to have a site in North Sheffield. They haven't said where, and they're inviting people in to join their allotment group. Now, the rationale behind that is that if they can get 200 or 300 people to sign up, they will use them as a pressure group to get what they want. And that's what's going on here. So we have engaged enforcement and made sure that they are alerted if any signs happen on either of these sites, that they will come out and see what's going on and make sure that what they're doing is compliant with planning law, but ensure also that what they intend to do is notified to the planning authority before they do it. Now, we are also concerned about the highway side of this. And so we'll be asking the highways officers to come out and have a look at where this organisation intends to access the land. Because if you're talking about 200 or 300 people every other day coming and visiting these sites in cars, then it may well be that where they're trying to access is inappropriate. So I'm going to ask the highways officers to come in, have a look, and go down and visit the two sites and check them out. And also they can inform planning about what their views are. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Move on. So for both things, we'll look at it and we'll provide you with a proper, full written answer. And as councillors have said, I think it's down to planning, highways, and perhaps enforcement as well. So we will share your concerns with those departments and come back to you. Thank you. Sorry.
I'm a Butterthwaite resident, and it is a small hamlet at a dead end, single track road. My point is we have two active farmers who are both here tonight that use this field in particular, but has been told he can't use it for a year because of this possible development. The road approaching this field is virtually single track, although it's not. It's 60 miles an hour. There's no speed limit on it, and one of the proposals is they put a gateway on that road where there's a really bad bend. Why there's never been a fatal accident, I don't know, by the by. But where we are, it would just disturb it so much, not one or two cars, hundreds, dozens and hundreds of people coming down our lane, where there's only 8 of us live there, and it's a private road. Yeah, we pay for everything on there. So the damage from that viewpoint, and I was going to ask, can this guy do this without planning? Or do they do retrospective?
Yeah, what they do is, there's nothing stopping them putting allotments in.
Nothing stopping them?
Nothing stopping them doing it. However, what they then do is bring in shipping containers and start putting structures in, and then they apply retrospectively for planning permission. So that's what they're doing. So this is why we have to get in early in this. There's been problems around the country with this organisation. They've got significant funding from private equity sources, so we know what really this is about. It's about change of use for this land, and every site we've seen in other areas is adjacent to a development site that's going to happen, so they're getting next door and therefore can make the case to develop on the land they've got.
So the green belt thing is secondary almost?
Yeah.
Can I just say, I have been, Roots Allotments, they're not just focusing on Sheffield, they've got a number of sites. If you visit their website across the UK, I have been in communication with other councillors across the country, asking their experiences, and it is a pretty formulaic. They come in, use permitted development for construct allotments, and then they use the argument, well, we need these structures to maintain the allotments, and that's how they get around that through retrospective planning. It's evident in other sites, so I'm glad. Thank you to the residents who have come along to raise this issue, and we as councillors across both East and West Ecclesfield will be kind of keeping an eye on this and keeping the enforcement teams in the loop.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think what we're trying to be is proactive instead of reactive with this particular instance. Yeah, thank you. Time's running on. If we could move on to now the breakout sessions, which we're going to do around the tables. There's various themes, perhaps about 20-25 minutes. We'll get your views of various subjects. So over to Andy to just introduce it. And we'll come and join at the tables. Yeah, thank you.
Right, although the table I was on says West Ecclesfield, we actually had a bit of a mixture. So we've done it from, from other areas as well. So the 5 issues that we talked about for safety concerns were zebra crossings near schools and in general school road safety outside schools. Another one of the concerns, which I think is everyone's concern, is speeding. Then we talked about the sort of geographical terrain of roads. So some roads are narrow and the signage isn't appropriate or not enough or whatever. Then somebody mentioned potholes, which we seem to have an awful lot of at the moment. And then we talked about traffic volume due to infrastructure, or not enough infrastructure. So where there's been a lot of building, but yet the infrastructure hasn't changed. So you've got the same roads trying to cope with an awful lot more traffic. And then we talked about side roads and estates being used as rat runs. So to save people time if they're queuing in traffic on the main road and they think, oh, if I cut round that estate, I can get to the roundabout quicker or whatever. So that was our 5. Then we talked about roads that people were concerned about, and we mentioned Wood Lane, which is very close by here, and we said that was caused by the sheer volume of traffic, in particular at school, beginning of the day and the end of the day, and speeding. And we also talked about there's not a lot you can do about the volume of traffic, dropping off at school and collecting, unless we make everyone walk to school. Somebody mentioned Church Street in Stannington, and again, that's speeding issues. And then somebody mentioned Wickley Lane, Elliot Lane in Grenoside, and again, that's speeding. And then in my area, Springwood Lane, which is, again, it's speeding. What we wanted the council in the North Lac to prioritise was safety around our schools as the most important thing. And then we also talked about having good signage. So any dangers, whether it's bends in the road, whether it's schools, whatever, if the signage was really good, that might help. And then I think we went off on tangents on other things. So that was where we came to an end.
Does anyone else wish to give any feedback?
Nobody would be able to exceed 30 miles an hour because of the state of the road. But I'm asking that surely is the cheapest way and the most immediate way. It doesn't involve any works. Thank you.
The council won't do speed bumps. They are not cost effective at all. No, they're not. The people that they're there for, to make slow down, don't really care about their car because they're going to speed, you know. Yes, people like us perhaps will slow down at the speed bump, but the people that are there to stop speeding will continue to speed. And because of that, the council, I can't remember what it was, decided that they are not cost effective, so they won't fit speed bumps anymore.
Potholes slow you down, yeah they do.
Well, what is a pothole if not an inverted speed bump? Like the one thing that was raised on my table that honestly I hadn't thought about, and it's thank you for those guys for raising it, and I have no idea how we're going to sort it. Is the kind of the proliferation of Google Maps and kind of other sat navs, and the way that they kind of usually straight line people through communities rather than through onto main roads, in particular kind of the communities of Loxley Lane, but we've also heard evidence of people on kind of Uterbridge Lane going up through Lane End and Skew Hill as well. So I don't know how we'd deal with that or how we would look to solve that, but I think there does need to be consideration as to kind of how the proliferation of rat runs due to technology.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's really been good participating and giving us feedback. Really helpful for us and for highways people and the council. So thank you very much for that. We will collate all the information and hopefully include it in the minutes and try and get it on our website so that people can see what the concerns are. I think we all know most of them, but there are some issues that have come up tonight that are new to me. And probably things that we can attend to as councillors. Thank you very much. Moving on, I'd like just to take the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on the 20th of November 24. It starts on page 9. If anybody got any issues about the minutes or concerns, if not, can we agree them? Agreed? Thank you. And the final item is the North Area Committee budget 24-25, and it's over to Andy to present the budget. Thank you.
I'll do this fairly briefly, if that's okay.
Yep.
At the start of the financial year, the councils were allocated £100,000. Since the last meeting, which was in November, they've allocated another £16,275 from the funds, which gives us just above £25,708 left as the financial year. They've funded some training for some high spending vouchers around the Highway Development Trust. They've funded another project for them around schools from the Great North Fund around food and consumables. They've made donations to running costs to 5 of the local food banks, that's St Saviour's, St Paul's, Stannington Food Bank, Food Matters and Chapel Green Community Fridge. That's £5,000 in total. They've also funded some playwork training which is being run for March. It's going to be held in Stocksbridge, but it's open to people from all over the north of the city. Mark's involved in that, and the place can be advertised, and it's going to go for I think 6 weeks. 6 weeks worth of playwork training, 6 Saturdays, which will be free. Some money to estates and parks to stop the rails road, stop the parking, the kind of people who are using it as a camping site, put the barriers in there, they funded that. A street scene celebration that I was talking to Stannington volunteers about, which is going to happen later in the year. And funnily enough, the removal of an obsolete speed detection device on Rodney Hill. That's been funded as well, which I say totals up to £16,275.
Thank you, Andy. Is there any comments, questions regarding the budget? Can we agree the budget? Agree? Thank you very much. So that concludes the meeting. What we will do, it's been interesting and people are still sat here. If you want to continue with some discussions, the councillors will be about. If you want to talk to the councillors, so yeah. But thank you very much for coming. It's been a really good meeting and a safe journey home. I've got a question from the far side.
Road safety speeding. Why is there? Sorry, focus tonight is on road safety. Why did it cost £200 to remove the speed detection device on Rodney Hill?
Because it's no longer working. And it's an old speed detection device that had been there for a number of years. It hasn't been working for at least 18 months. And to have actually replaced it with a new one would have been about £9,000. And what we've now got, the council mentioned that the VAS signs, vehicle activated signs, which are the ones with smiley faces that go around and move and show around, they're on a rotation, and I think there's 8 in the North Lack. We can rotate them round, and there's also a site for the rotation of that just below where that sign was before. So we'd rather put the money into doing more signs on rotation, because we got the data back from those. It's an old sign that just used to flash. The signs you now see actually give us data on how fast the traffic is going, and then the colleagues in highways actually use that to work out if there needs to be more enforcement, what needs to be done, whereas the old ones didn't.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Yeah. Regarding the school and the students, I think we need to get some sort of setup where we can communicate with you and meet with you. Certainly, I'd like to come into school and listen to you and listen to some of the stuff that you're doing. Perhaps you might want to talk to the local councillors.
Already done, Wes.
Already done. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.